Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest Redleaf Securities podcast. We've got another exciting AI company on board. It is Chris Clark, the CEO of RocketDNA. The ticker's RKT. How are you today, Chris?
G'day, John. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Now, for the viewers out there, can you give us an elevator pitch about RocketDNA?
Yeah, for sure. RocketDNA is an autonomous drone company focused on open pit mining operations and industrial applications, effectively removing people from dull, dirty, dangerous environments and tasks and completely automating those within the mining environment.
Fantastic. Now, RocketDNA it looks like it's kind of shifting, like it's increasingly talking about more software than drones. Would that be correct?
That's right, John. I think, look, I've been in the business for over 15 years, and more in the last sort of 3 years, we've really shifted from flying drones manually to fully autonomous drones. And how Rocket really has achieved that, over this time is number one, going out there and getting these really complex approvals from the Civil Aviation Safety Authority to conduct sort of drones not only beyond visual line of sight, but actually controlling these drones now via Starlink remotely. So you can put these systems out anywhere in the country and pretty much trigger and task them. So it sort of started with the regulation, you get the approvals, then we had to build the equipment. And that was really the idea behind that was, you're putting these systems out in far-flung pots in very dusty, humid or really hot pots. And really they had to survive, right? Like had to be sort of like low touch. And once we sort of built that system and validated that product and put it out in a couple of customers, it can really became then again about the utilization, the integration. So while drones can do 100 different things, we had to be able to task them to really fulfill requirements at the individual end user level, which would be a geologist would be needing something very different from what a surveyor or a geotechnical or a mining engineer would need on each site. And so the Rocket's journey has really been about following the pain points and those constraints along the way and really creating a fully end-to-end solution that now is it's just ready to scale and take off.
So what's your point? Everyone's talking about Drone Shield. That's probably the leading one on the market on ASX. What's your point of difference between Drone Shield and yourselves?
Yeah, so Drone Shield is in the military and defense space, and Rocket's a pure commercial play. Drone Shield's focus more on the counter UAS, so detecting and deterring drones. Well, we're fully embracing the actual drones themselves, which have got sensors that are used in example, in a mining site. They digitize the mine, turn, two-dimensional images into 3D models, which allows miners to effectively measure how much they're taking out of the ground. So they're using this for production, reporting, compliance, or conformance purposes. Beyond that, what we've seen is with our systems, because a lot of people would actually ask us to say, well, why are miners not doing themselves, or why not just fly a drone manually? And where the difference with autonomous drones is we kind of view them as a piece of infrastructure. The drones that are permanently installed, they're self-sustainable. You can trigger them on demand whenever you need. And when you've got a piece of a drone that's able to trigger on demand, all of a sudden we're finding, emergencies, getting live eyesights, that real situational awareness has become a big part of using this technology. And the primary drive behind that is in mining in these far-flung areas is they're really struggling to find people, or that, it just takes hours to get out there and to do very simple, inspection tasks. And so with all of this, plus the pressures and the costs associated with getting people out in FIFO and flying them out there and housing and camping and, sometimes to do very simple things, it's now got to the point where it makes sense to invest in this kind of technology rather than sending people out, in a ute drive 4 hours just to go check on a couple of water levels or just to go do some simple measurements.
Now, you have mentioned your ambitious 25,000 mission pipeline. Can you speak to us about that and how that's going to convert into revenue?
Yeah. So as part of our product sort of rollout, we, as mentioned, started with the regulatory, then the hardware. And the next sort of phase of the business has really been building up those software products and that integration as well. And when we first started to the beginning of the year, we had got a product called SciTube, is where all the customers visualize and consume and digest all the data. But we needed a product that could really help us task and manage the capacity across all the systems. Because what makes sort of drone in a box systems very different from other drones is that it's not just for the surveyors or one particular department, it's for everybody on a mine site. So it means you don't need a drone license to fly a drone. And for that, we built Skylink. Skylink is our own proprietary tool on top of SciTube, where anyone can within 2 clicks get a drone up and flying. And one of the really great functionalities of Skylink is the ability to schedule flights in advance. So if you're a enviro who's really interested in vegetation encroachment or monitoring weed species, or if you're a asset reliability engineer that wants to monitor pipelines for water leaks and the like, you can now task a drone and not only just do a single mission, but actually schedule repeatable missions every single day or week, whatever you need, kind of like, putting a calendar invite in your Outlook. And what we found is through that, just even out of our 20 enterprise customers, in the 3 months since we've had Skylink deployed and now we've got all our customers using it as a tool, they've pre-booked over 25,000 flights. So basically a year's worth of solid flying in Skylink already. So this is bookable revenue already, we're already seeing. So it really speaks to the usability and the ease of use of now, and customers really jumping on board with the concept of, hey, like, I just need this data every day. That's what's important to me, and this is how I'm going to get it.
Now, there's also been discussion about the Sandvik and Diswick opportunities.
Mm.
Can you give our audience a bit of an idea where the opportunity runs?
Yeah. So RocketDNA has got a real true land and expand strategy. So it's not on top of us deploying more systems and scaling in across mining and other possible new verticals as well. Integration remains a key function of what we do. So both Skylink and SciTube are API driven. And, when we deployed a system to one of a common customer between us and Deswick, who you rightly identified as a $1 billion software company owned by a major industrial player, this common customer said to us, guys, we're loving what Rocket's doing, automating the data collection, bringing it in. We want to reduce friction in how we use this data, and the Deswick tools is built for surveyors. How do we just get this really seamless integration and the data just flows into our Deswick tools? And Deswick is a tool that 90% of Australian miners use. So it really is it's a strategic integration for us to really enable not only their product, but it also has this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy where, the more data our customers are using, the more flights that they're requesting. And that's how we make our money, right? Is enabling the ease of use of the data and the consumption of that.
So impressively, RocketDNA has had delivered 2 consecutive quarters of positive operating cash flow. So you guys are expanding without delusion. At what point do you believe the business is self-funding, so it could just purely grow with the cash flow it's generating?
Yeah, that's right, John. The team's worked exceptionally hard, and we believe we're at this inflection point now where autonomous drones and autonomy in general, it's not a difficult sell, right? Everybody's investing in it. This is where, where a lot of the effort is going into as well. So we're all on board, and what's really great about our particular stock is this is our niche. This is what we're focused on. And not only is it a growing market in terms of the number of mines that are becoming available, but the number of use cases across this entire ecosystem. And really, but to our core, we remain a growth story. So we'll always continue, to be responsible with our finances and make sure we're not, just spending for things that we think we need, but or want, but really kind of focusing on what's fit for purpose now, and ensuring, because we want to drive efficiencies up, because we always want to drive the cost down for the customer, because sort of that Jevons paradox, we've got a self-belief that the more accessible we make this technology, the more systems they're going to want to deploy, the more flights they're going to want to request, the more integrations they're going to want to need. And that has all this knock-on effect into effectively our software products, which is all, again, on top of our remote operations and hardware. You're paying per flight, paying per flight hour. So we need to we want to be driving the usage only higher and higher.
Will the focus remain on the resource sector?
The resources is pretty much is our wheelhouse. We have been approached by other customers in I guess very complementary sort of verticals that we're always open to and engaging, and are happy to do trials in as well. I think that what's really probably important is, because we've been in mining for 15 years, we really understand the data outputs and the formats that these customers want and how they want it. And we've taken a lot of time to understand that, because it's not, they don't want a drone, they want a data output. And we're all about how do we get it to them, as frequently, as quickly as possible. And so with these other customers, we're not saying no, but it's more, we sort of take it case by case basis and look at the strategic value to understand the market size of building similar sort of data pipelines and workflows behind that. But yes, there is a lot of interest from other industries as well.
So in 12 months' time, Chris, when we're speaking again, when we're doing the next podcast, what would success look like? What would you like to achieve for RocketDNA?
Like every single year is very different for us. I would say just over a year ago, we had just moved out of, we had a little federation, home out in, sort of Subiaco that we were working out of. It was like sort of 4-bedroom. Now we're into our, our bigger remote operation space here in Aussie Park out in Perth. You can see the remote operations sort of behind me on screen. So, and our remote operations center in Adelaide has probably tripled in size since we sort of last spoke about a year ago. And so I think really, what kind of the next month sort of really kind of holds, like, I think we'll know in the next couple of months which way, we think the trajectory is sort of pointing. I think there's a really exciting, like I say, that inflection point, an exciting time within the business right now. So I think we're really, really positive for the future. And I think you'll see a very exciting, a different kind of business in the next 12 months.
Well, Chris, you've certainly done well. Our shareholders, the viewers, are all watching in anticipation of what the next 12 months will achieve. We really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, John. All the best.
Cheers.